got the office pool. That's the over-under.
Not calling out.
Yeah, that's
well, bring me in here in a stretcher. I'm not calling out. Hey, if you put your money on Andrew Luck this year, you've made quite a return. That's because he made quite a return after missing all of last year. He's got the Colts in the playoffs with a 10-6 record. He'll face a familiar foe in the Houston Texans. Now, Colts split the season series with them this year. Luck, in all his gosh dang exuberance, said after all he's been through, it's nice to be back in the postseason.
I'm having fun, and to me that's the most important thing. And the fact that we get to go play another game in the playoffs and see what we can do, that's stinking awesome. And I think a small part of us understands how special it's been so far. And I said this afterward, fulfilling. You know, I feel this season in a sense that every game has been fulfilling, but satisfied? No, not at all. I mean, we know there is work to do, and we know that it starts with today. It starts with getting better today.
All right, CC, in your opinion, what is the key to this stinking matchup?
Well, you got to be able to take away the stinking T.Y. Hilton. Like, he has dominated. Nick, I thought you made a great point how T.Y. has played in Texas against the Texans there.
133 yards per game in that building.
I mean, he has dominated. You've also heard some quotes from their defensive backs as far as taking offense to those types of numbers, saying that's T.Y. Hilton's second home is in the secondary there. So if they take him away, Romeo Crennel, looking at this film, he's going to try to negate those big plays and him having a big game. Andrew Luck's ability to either go to Eric Ebron as the tight end who's emerged as a Pro Bowler, resurrecting his career after disappointment there in Detroit, and the others. You won't even know these others. So I believe the Texans will take them out of their running game. I believe they'll negate T.Y. Hilton and Luck's ability to get to these others. I think that's better than Deshaun Watson's ability if they negate Nuke on the outside. Is he able to get to the others, and who are these players? So I think Andrew Luck gets to those players, is able to exploit some of those holes in that secondary and negate that rush that they'll have with Clowney and J.J. Watt. This is an exciting matchup. I think this is the closest to matchup teams-wise of all the matchups this weekend.
And so on that last point, that's the one that I disagree with you the most on. I think one team has a decided advantage, and I think that team is the road team here. I think the Colts have been...
Of all the teams playing this weekend, these teams are, as far as roster, to me, are the absolute closest teams of any of the other matchups that we have.
Okay, then I misunderstood what you were saying. That part I agree with, that they have, and they have very similar makeups where neither team has a path to victory against good teams if their quarterback isn't great. Both teams has a clear-cut #1 receiver that is the quarterback's favorite option. Both teams have some things in the front seven they do exceptionally well. For the Colts, it's stop the run. For the Texans, it's rush the pass, but they're also very good stopping the run, actually. There's secondary question marks on both teams. The reason that I favor the Colts greatly in this game is a number of issues. One, I don't think the Colts have a glaring weakness. I think the Texans do on their offensive line. Also, and I've been maybe one of the more vocal critics of the Texans coaching, and I should probably explain why. They have a mobile, dynamic quarterback, yet they're bottom 3 in the league in red zone efficiency. And if you watch the games, a lot of that is from head-scratching play calls once they get inside the 5-yard line. Forget the 15, inside the 5-yard line. There's situational coaching as far as how they use timeouts and challenges, and those things matter in the postseason. I think the Texans have some of the worst efficiency in that in the league. So for all those reasons, and the fact that over the last 10 weeks, the #1 defense in the NFL is Indianapolis's, I really like Indy in this game. I think they can get after Deshaun. We know he's the most sacked quarterback in football. I think the Indy offensive line can neutralize to a degree Watt and Clowney. And for all those reasons, I think this game, even on the road, favors Indy significantly.
Yeah, I don't feel that way. I think that when you get into the playoffs, especially when you have a team in your division, very seldom are we ever going to see that third matchup being some type of blowout or one team having some decisive advantage. If you look at in the AFC, I believe probably the most underrated team probably are the Houston Texans, probably because of their style. People don't like their offensive line, and they don't have a running game. They just get it done. Second most wins right? Win total. They're in the AFC. So I just believe collectively what they're able to do. Now, are they able to get the offensive productivity from those others? That's what Deshaun, that's the puzzle that he's going to have to be able to solve in this playoff with maximum pressure. Now, I don't disagree as far as the red zone. Deshaun hurt his knee. This is his second knee injury. Even though he has mobility, I would not be a guy prone to put him in running the football, given that he's had 2 serious knee injuries. I mean, do you want your franchise quarterback to be on his third recovery from a knee surgery? No. So I understand why they're a little more conservative. And when you can't run the ball in the red zone, you're going to struggle with red zone efficiency.
Well, and that is a question, is can the Texans find a way to create some type of rushing attack against the league's #3 rush defense? Like, can they keep you honest? Because if they can, and the play action comes more into play, and you can take some deep shots with Deshaun Watson to DeAndre Hopkins, that's a huge part of it. And credit to Deshaun, who turnovers were a huge part of the first 10 games of his career. The stretch last year, the first 6 games this year, a turnover in all of them. He's now gone 9 of 10 games without an interception. He's going to have to keep that stretch
That's
going.
also a reason why he's holding on to that football. So sometimes when you look at, a guy used to turn the ball over, but now he's not turning over, but his sacks go up. So, no, we don't have the effect of a turnover, but how many times are you going to be effective in taking those sacks? So how effective is he at getting rid of the ball in bad plays? Free runners in the backfield. People, the play is off schedule. Not a completion, but just not a negative play.
All right, time now for Nick's favorite segment. It's called Nick's Picks. Last year, the Eagles surprised everyone, marching straight through the playoffs to win it all. But who will take home the Lombardi Trophy this year? Nick thinks he knows, and he's picked every game. Let's start with the AFC, Nick.
All right, we've got an AFC bracket. If we want to show America, we'll start with the game we just talked about. Colts-Texans, not surprisingly there. I like the Colts to win that game as a road team. And the other wild card game, the Ravens, I think, duplicate, not as dominating, but duplicate what they did a few weeks ago in beating the Chargers. So Ravens and Colts advance. That sets up some outstanding divisional round games. I think the Chiefs at home are able to handle Andrew Luck and the Colts. I do not think the Patriots at home can handle the Ravens defense. I think it sets up with a Ravens-Chiefs AFC Championship game, a rematch of a great game we saw a little over a month ago, a game that went to overtime. I favor the home team, Kansas City there. See, there's my AFC bracket if you have any thoughts.
I'm not into picking the games and everything. If you guys want to make money, just look at his bracket and just go the other way. Let's go in Baltimore first. I believe the Chargers are going to have even though they lost the first matchup, watch how the offense is more effective with Phillip Rivers in the cold than Lamar Jackson. Also, I don't believe, Nick, with the Colts have decisive advantage over the Texans at home. J.J. Watt, off spectacular season, he's going to have an influence on Andrew Luck. I believe his bracket right there is going to get demolished.
So you
just
think I'm over 2 on the first 2 games?
I just don't think it's as decisive of a mismatch as you put out there.
As I'm presenting it. Okay, that's fine. Now let's go to the NFC if we can. We'll see if C and I have any agreement here. I think Nick Foles' magical run ends this weekend against the best defense in football. I like the Bears. Quarterback and the experience, that's Seattle. I think both those teams move on. In the second round, I don't think Seattle can go to New Orleans and win. I like the Saints. I do think Chicago can go to Los Angeles and win and really cause problems for Jared Goff. That gets you a matchup, to me, of the 2 best teams in the conference, Saints and Bears. I'm going to go with the #1 seed Saints and Drew Brees to make it out of the NFC.
I believe that the Bears are the most dangerous non-1 or 2 seed in. So I believe that they get through Philadelphia. Yes, Nick Foles become Nick Foles there in Soldier Field. I believe the boys get it done. They advance to the divisional round, and then we'll see where the rest of Nick picks and we'll see where they go.
And then we're to the Super Bowl, #1 seed versus #1 seed. League MVP Patrick Mahomes against Drew Brees. I think Brees gets his revenge. I think the New Orleans Saints take home the Lombardi. And by the way, for Falcons fans, the Saints winning a Super Bowl in Atlanta, that ain't great. But I think Saints Chiefs in the Super Bowl with the Saints taking it home. There's my bracket. We'll see how it goes. I'm trying to go 11 for 11 this year. I don't think I quite went 11 for 11 last year. We'll see how it goes, see.
All right. Anything?
No, it's going to be a disaster.
We got to go. Coming up, can Lamar Jackson keep the magic going against the Chargers? It's next on First Things First.
You're going to see.
4 for 4 wild card weekend.